Hello, my name is Nicholl, and thank you so much for taking this time out to listen. Today I am talking about managing mental illness. And the reason why I felt compelled to talk about this is because when many go to the church, they are not going to the church to hear a minister tell them what the signs are when it comes to mental illness. They are going to actually run from the mental illness. They are going to escape the issues related to the mental illness. And for many, they don't even know that there is something going on in their minds. Now, those that are radical when it comes to the faith will say all that mental illness stuff is nothing more than demons. Okay? And I'm not going to argue with people about whether or not a particular mental illness is demonic or not. What we are going to talk about, though, is that when people are going through much in their life, there comes a point where the mind is not going to operate like it should. Okay? Now, is there demonic oppression and suppression and things of that sort? Absolutely. But we don't want to give place to the enemy by dwelling on that today. There's plenty of videos and audios that will get into the demonic and also binding spirits, casting out, the demonic and so forth. But when one is going through much in their life and they do not want to address issues, or they don't see that there is a cliff that's ahead, like when you're driving and if there is some type of cliff or detour or some work being done, if you drive in the wrong direction, you're going to go over that cliff. Okay. Some folks don't recognize that that's where they're headed because, well, for years I drank and there was never any problem. Or for years, I was partying and doing drugs and there was never really any issue. I was caught up in this particular group for a long time and I didn't see where they were messing with my mind. I didn't experience any brainwashing, but I don't know. Things are different now. You see, things are different. At first, things were okay. It seemed like you could be able to withstand the pressures. It seemed like you could be able to cope with whatever came your way, whether it was a death, whether it was financial loss, whether it was, some type of illness or just hearing something or experiencing something so bad that you just went through a number of things. Some of us have been there, done it, and God delivered us out. Others, though, are headed in that direction. So you may have been able to deal with this issue, but then this one came along and now you just can't snap out of it. You're snapping on folks. You're depressed. You got anxiety issues. People are saying, woo, girl, you're crazy. Or, I don't know if I can keep talking to you because you might end up putting us both in jail. You see, when you got folks around you starting to tell you that you are not the same, or you need to watch what you say, or you need to be careful out there because you're doing this, that, and the other, you got to know you're dealing with some type of mental issue. And some folks, like I said, they don't want to receive that. They're assuming that, no, I'm okay, I'm all right. But everybody around you is being affected by whatever it is that you're going through. So there comes a point where you've got to address the issues. And sometimes we can't do it on our own. We have to seek a counselor. We have to go and talk to some people, about our situation through a support group, or pick up the phone and talk to someone who's a professional, or visit a doctor, or take certain prescription medicines. Okay. And I will tell you, I am the first person that will say, okay, you know what? Something is wrong. I need to talk to somebody about it and I need to get whatever necessary help I need. Some folks, nope, too much pride. I'm not going out there doing a doggone thing. Who do you think you are? I'm not crazy. I'm just fine. I'm still the same way I always been 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I'll always be. You get the smart mouth, you get the attitude, you get some people ignoring you, you get some folks that don't want to talk to you anymore, you get some folks that go on attack mode. Others will go and whisper about you behind your back, or nitpick, find some faults in you because they don't want to face the truth. But mental illness is real. Okay. And it is among everyone. If you are not experiencing it, someone around you is going through any number of issues: crying spells, irritability, anger outbursts, forgetting things, pushing back on anyone who tries to help them, not keeping up with their body. Okay. And that's a clear sign somebody's going through when they get to that point where they're like, look, I'm not taking any showers anymore. Okay. No, I'm not going around people anymore. When they stop working, when they just say, you know what, I quit. I'm not even going back to work. Okay, wait a minute. Something's going on. And you know that this person always bathed. You know that this person was pretty sharp about remembering things. This person really enjoyed working. Something is going on. Or how about the individual that once had a good conversation, but now every time you turn around, they keep repeating things. Or they, just can't engage you in any type of conversation anymore because all they know is the television. It's something going on there. Or how about the person, when you look them in their face, their eyes are going everywhere. And then they're constantly asking you, what did you say? What did you mean by that? I don't get it. Huh? What? And you're like, okay, something is going on. You see, something is going on. So you might ask them, well, how are you doing? I'm fine. It's always I'm fine, right? Or are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. I mean, is there something wrong with you? I mean, why are you asking me that? You asked me that the other day, and I told you the same thing. I mean, why are you going there? What is all of this attitude for? You see, trying to cover up some things. Or how about the person who they're not going to give you an attitude. They're just going to be really, really, really chipper all the time. And then when you catch them not acting so much, you find out that there's something really going on with them. They're talking to themselves. They're looking around. They've got some type of problems. But, oh no, everything's okay. No, I don't have any problem. No, sometimes I have my share of issues. I mean, it's just that time of the month. That's it. But you just sit back and you just be quiet and you just watch the movie play itself out. And then when it gets so bad to the point where you feel like they're going to be a problem for you as well as themselves, that's when someone is going to have to pick up the phone and call the paramedics, okay, or call the police officer, because something is going on, right? What is in darkness sooner or later comes out in the light, and it may come out with a bunch of swearing. It may come out with some folks taking their clothes off and streaking. It may come out, with someone losing all of their money, someone ending up becoming homeless. There's a lot of things that take place before even one goes to those extremes. Okay. And some of you all have noticed the change in people's personalities, and you're saying, uh-oh, they're getting older, or uh-oh, she didn't quite get over that rape, or this one never did get over the fact that her husband or wife, cheated. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on with people's minds. So when we see this sort of thing, or if you feel like you're starting to lose it, especially if you're taking a lot of your aggression out on children or on things, throwing stuff around, you don't want to listen too long to anyone before you're popping off, you might consider. And this was something that I saw walking one day when I was visiting in a city. It was an office that was exclusively assigned to cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay. I didn't have a clue what that was, but apparently it's designed to help people to modify their patterns of behavior. Okay. And thoughts associated with whatever the disorder might be. So if you are obsessively washing your hands, then they're supposed to help you. The counselors are supposed to help you figure out what may be transpiring within your mind to cause you to constantly want to wash your hands. Something may have happened, some type of disorder connected with it, helping you identify what's going on so that you can change your behavior. Okay. So that office, I thought that, wow, that is just amazing that they have an office specifically designed for that sort of thing. So when you catch yourself doing something that is obsessive, or somebody else is telling you, okay, now that's just crazy what you keep doing. This is where cognitive behavioral therapy comes into play. Then there are those family therapies that, we see like on television and we read about in magazines and books and so forth. There's another name for it called systematic therapy. And basically this just involves the person as well as their social circle, husbands, wives, and so forth, basically conducting this intervention of sorts to get the individual to go ahead and get necessary help. So some of you all may have experienced that, or some of you all are thinking about doing that with someone who has, an addiction, substance abuse. So if that's the case, then that definitely will help out. But you want to seek a professional. You may even want to have that professional present, when this sort of thing takes place. And if you're dealing with somebody who's violent, you might want to even have a police officer around, because you don't want to end up going to jail trying to get some kind of family therapy, started, and that person, wants to fight everybody in the room. So, these are some things, that are out there, and they fall under psychotherapy. Okay. There's also what they call psychoanalysis, and, that deals with, some psychic conflicts, where you've got some voices in your head. There's some people telling you to do some things. And then of course, defense mechanisms, trying to get to the root of what's going on, and then coming up with the defenses to help that individual deal with something like the voices in their head and all of that interesting stuff. And then there is medication that is prescribed, not to every single mental illness, because that's the first thing some people will say. I'm not going to get in on any medicine. I don't need any medicine. And my one friend, she was taking some medicine and it ended up making her this way and that way. First, get the necessary help, okay? And then if it is necessary, it would make sense to go ahead and at least try, some of the things before you start talking about what you're not going to take, if this applies to you or someone else. People are very quick to assume that it's always going to be about some prescription medicine. I mean, there's herbal remedies, there's vitamin supplements. I mean, there's a lot of things for mild mental issues. Okay. But those major ones, yes, if the benefits outweigh, the cons, then somebody needs to take some medicine. We can't just keep praying all the time. Even when God is saying, listen, my hand is not on that situation right there. That's a curse that's going on with that individual. So you just might as well just allow them to go through and stop trying to stand in the way of progress. You see, so there's those antidepressants and mood stabilizers and antipsychotics and stimulants and, all of these different things. And they're used to treat specific disorders. So like, for instance, an antidepressant, I remember taking one after having one of my children. Okay. And it basically was used to treat the anxiety and the depression and, some other postpartum related stuff. And I didn't see it coming. Okay. So when that sort of thing takes place, you've got to do something, because I was concerned about being in the presence of my children. And I also remembered, those stories of women doing bad things to their children. I was self-aware and I knew that something was going on. So to the doctors I went. Yes, I am a prayer warrior. Yes, I believe in Jesus and, all of that good stuff. But at that particular time in my life, I was definitely not sold out for Christ. as much as I am now. And I also, had my share of sin that I was dealing with. So, some of it was a combination of, health related issues, and others was, rooted in demonic types of things. Okay. So I'll be the first to admit that, yeah, you could have health issues and you could have demonic stuff. Okay. That God did not purge you from because you refuse to let go. Okay. So, and then of course there are those, things dealing with, convulsive therapy, which is abbreviated ECT, and that's used for treating that type of depression that just doesn't want to leave. Okay. And some folks, they've been just going through much. They've taken all the medicines. They've done everything that they can possibly do. So this is just another thing. And then there are a ton of other ways to manage all sorts of mental illnesses. But you've got to do the research if you know that somebody is going through much and they are in no condition to do the research. And that's the problem with some folks. Like I think of a relative who was going through a lot of things, and she didn't always see what she was going through. Folks were telling her. And then eventually she got to a place where, unfortunately, she, left, and she left at a young age. Okay. So, you've got to have somebody on the outside looking in. And if you suspect that something is going on with you, interview someone, walk over to them, talk to them that knows you very well. Listen, have I been acting this way and that way? And then an honest person is going to tell you, yes, yes, you have been flipping out. You've been acting wild. I was thinking that maybe, I would have to end up putting you in jail or something because you're so, wild acting out. I mean, what happened, and then you find out that somebody's back to taking drugs again. Or you find out somebody's back to drinking alcohol. You find out that someone has some type of illness within their body as a result of overeating, and it's affecting their mood. You find out that someone, is going through a divorce. You find out that someone recently lost a loved one and they've been trying really, really hard to keep it together. You find out that some children are doing any number of things on the home front and elsewhere, and it's keeping a parent stressed. So you find out some things with some individuals that maybe they felt like they were strong enough to conquer, and now they need some help. Okay. There is a ton of information out there. I suggest that you do, check out some of the resources that can help you based on whatever the specific situation is. Now, if you don't know what it is, then you can do some random researching based on the symptoms. Okay. So you put symptoms in like, for instance, postpartum depression symptoms. Okay. Or surgery related symptoms, whatever the surgery might be, if you know the name. How people behave after the death of a loved one, how children behave after divorce. So you're putting specific things in the search engine if you have no clue what is going on, and you don't know any of the psychological terms, and you don't even know where to begin as far as getting them some help. So you can always put in, resources to help combat depression, resources to help deal with substance abuse, and then include your city and state. Okay. That is crucial, because in this way, you can be able to help that individual or yourself go to a place that's locally. And you can sit down and talk with someone rather than doing this internet stuff, because the internet can be so impersonal. And then sometimes if you're going through much, you're not going to want to turn on a computer. And so therefore, if you're not turning on a computer, you're turning off the help. Okay. And then, of course, there are those folks that you may have grown up with who they had a lot of stuff going on with them and you didn't quite understand. And now when you look back, you think about different things they were saying, they were doing. You might want to put their symptoms in the search engine and then find out, is this the type of mental illness that's going to be passed down to you? There is a site called www.bandbacktogether.com/adult child of those with mental illness, and this will help you out as far as dealing with those adults that have, any number of mental illnesses and you don't know where to begin. Also, you can put in the search engine resources for adult children of those with mental illness, or those with mental illness, or just put adult children and parents or grandparents mental illness and see what comes up. Okay. You are not alone. There is so many folks that are going through much. I will tell you that as people age, it can be very stressful because they are just not who they used to be. And you can find yourself really hurting on the inside over other people, and then of course putting stress upon yourself, and that's what you don't want to do. The Lord said we are to cast our burdens onto Him. Well, guess what? Part of that is casting your burdens upon those who can be able to deal with those issues. Okay, so whatever the issue might be with an individual, seek out the necessary resources to help that person. Okay, because it can hurt when you're watching somebody go from being very strong mentally, physically, and so forth to going down quite quickly. Okay. Do look up things like depression, anxiety, and self-esteem issues. These seem very minor in the beginning with some folks when they say, "Oh, I'm just depressed," or "I have a history of anxiety." Sometimes I don't feel good about myself. I think I'm dumb. I think I'm stupid, and they say stuff like this. Look those things up. This way you can better help them, instead of telling them, "You're not stupid and you're not depressed. I don't even want to hear you saying that." Or, "Oh, get out of here." Anxiety. I mean, you can still go to work. You can still, deal with your children. And some people's issues are a little bit more challenging than others. So before we go talking about what people can do, okay, not everybody's situation is the same, okay? And not everybody has PMS the same way. Not everybody deals with postpartum the same way. And sometimes people want to lump women all in one category. Not every woman goes through menopause the same way. Some women are still going through menopause long after menopause was supposed to be over. Okay. So I'm just sharing this information because I just feel like there are those individuals that are really dealing with mental illness, whether it's themselves or those around them, and it's really taking a toll on them. So may God bless you. And I just take a moment right now to just pray for those who are really trying to make sense of mental illness. I pray, Lord, that you will just give them the awareness, the understanding to be able to deal with issues. We bind the spirits, Lord Jesus, that want to confuse, that want to manipulate, that want to move on people to do some very harmful, evil things. We bind those spirits in Jesus' mighty name. And we ask, Lord, that you be with each and every individual every step of the way, moving on their hearts, Lord Jesus, to do what is right. In Jesus' name. Thank you once again for listening. Please do check the description box for anything related to your situation. And as always, to God be the glory.